Hey everyone, Christmas. It's a holiday celebrated by billions, right? But what if I told you that behind all the lights and the music, there's a story full of mystery, debate, and some really surprising twists? Today, we're gonna peel back those layers and get to the true origins of Christmas. So let's just get right to it. The big question. When you look past all the presents, all the parties, what's the real story here? Where does it all actually begin? And what can things like archaeology, astronomy, and old records really tell us? Okay, let's dive in and find out. All right, so here's our game plan for this explainer. First, we'll look at the core story itself. Then we're gonna put on our detective hats and investigate the actual location of Bethlehem and that whole mystery of the Christmas star. And finally, we'll connect the dots to see how these ancient events turned into the huge global celebration we know today. So to really get where Christmas comes from, we've got to start at the beginning with the foundational story. This is the tale that's been told for 2,000 years. And, it doesn't start with a king or an emperor. It starts with a young woman. Even before the birth, before the shepherds or the wise men, there's this incredible moment, Mary's song, which is also known as the Magnificat. Right after she's told she's going to give birth to the Son of God, this is how she expresses her joy. But listen, this isn't just some simple song of praise. No, it is packed with some seriously powerful ideas. Yeah, this song is, it's pretty revolutionary, especially for its time. It's all about this great reversal. Morally, it says the proud are going to be scattered. Socially, the powerful will be toppled from their thrones, and the humble will be lifted up. And get this, economically, the hungry will be filled up with good things, while the rich, they're sent away with nothing. I mean, that is a radical vision of the world being turned completely upside down, and it's right there at the very start of the whole story. Okay. So from the story, let's pivot to the investigation. The very first clue we need to check out is the location, Bethlehem. Now, for most of us, that's just a fact, right? But for some historians and archaeologists, it's actually a genuine puzzle. So here's the central debate. The Gospels of Matthew and Luke, they are crystal clear that the birth happened in Bethlehem of Judea, but some critics have suggested another town, Bethlehem of Galilee, as a much more logical place. So, which is it? What does the evidence on the ground actually show us? All right, let's look at the arguments side by side. You've got Bethlehem of Judea, the traditional spot. Yeah, but it's a long 150-kilometer journey from Nazareth. It does, however, fulfill a key prophecy. Then there's Bethlehem of Galilee. It's way closer, only about 8 kilometers away, which makes a lot more sense for a pregnant woman, right? The big argument against the traditional site has always been this claim that nobody even lived there in the first century. So that's the million-dollar question. Was anyone there? And it turns out, archaeologists have found some pretty compelling answers. First, there's this thing called a fiscal bulla. It's a clay seal that proves the town was around long before Jesus. But here's the clincher. They've found pottery and tons of other artifacts from the first century, right from the time of Jesus, dug up right near the Church of the Nativity. And that confirms it. Bethlehem of Judea was definitely an active village back then. Now, here's another super interesting detail that changes things. We all know the line, "no room at the inn." But the original Greek word used in the Gospels is kataluma. And that doesn't really mean a commercial hotel or inn. It's more likely to mean a guest room or an upper room in a regular family house. So what does that suggest? Well, that Mary and Joseph were probably staying with relatives and the main guest room was just full. So they took shelter in the lower level of the house, where families often kept their animals at night to keep them safe. So think less of a drafty separate stable and more like the ground floor of a bustling family home. Okay, so from the ground, let's look up to the sky.
the Star of Bethlehem. I mean, it's one of the most iconic images of the whole story. But what was it? Was it a pure, unexplainable miracle, or was it a real astronomical event that we can actually identify today?
The Magi, who were basically ancient astronomers, maybe astrologers, they said they saw his star in the east. And that just begs the question, what in the world did they see? While modern astronomers have a few really compelling theories.
First up, theory number 1, a planetary conjunction. This is when, from our viewpoint here on Earth, 2 or more planets look like they're getting super close together, maybe even merging into one single brilliant point of light. And it turns out there was a rare triple conjunction of Jupiter and Saturn back in 7 BC, and then an incredibly bright mashup of Jupiter and Venus in 2 BC. For ancient skywatchers, seeing kingly planets like these do something spectacular would have been a huge deal.
All right, theory number 2, a comet. We know for a fact Halley's Comet was visible in 12 BC, and ancient Chinese astronomers wrote about another bright comet around 5 BC. A comet would for sure be a dramatic sight, and it could even look like it was standing over a specific location as the Earth turns. The biggest knock against this theory, though, in the ancient world, comets were usually seen as bad omens, not exactly the kind of sign you'd expect for a royal birth.
And that brings us to our third major candidate, a supernova. That's the mind-blowingly powerful explosion of a star. To people on Earth, it would look like a brand new, bright star just appeared out of nowhere. And what's so fascinating is that astronomers in both China and Korea recorded seeing exactly that in the year 4 BC. A new star popping up in the heavens? That would absolutely get the attention of the Magi. So we've dug into the history and the science behind the original story. Now let's fast forward a bit. How did we get from a humble birth in a Judean village to the Christmas we celebrate today, with trees and Santa and all those carols? Let's start with something we all know, the Christmas tree. You might think it's some ancient tradition, but it's actually pretty modern. It all started with German Lutherans back in the 16th century. And honestly, it didn't become a massive global thing until the 1800s, thanks in a large part to German immigrants spreading the tradition, and of course, Queen Victoria and Prince Albert making it fashionable. You know, even the colors we automatically link with the holiday are just packed with symbolism. Red is meant to symbolize the crucifixion. Green, you see it in evergreen trees that stay alive through the winter. That represents eternal life. And gold, that points right back to the gifts from the Magi, a symbol of royalty. And what about good old Santa Claus, the guy we know and love today? He's pretty much an American invention. It started with Dutch settlers who brought their tradition of Sinterklaas over. Then, in the early 1800s, the writer Washington Irving kind of reinvented him. And finally, a cartoonist named Thomas Nast is the one who really sealed the deal, giving him that iconic, jolly, red-suited look in his famous drawings. And the music we hear every year, it followed a pretty similar evolution. It all kicked off with religious folk songs back in the medieval era. Then, in the 18th century, you get these more formal, grand church hymns becoming all the rage. And then boom, the 19th century hits, and you get an explosion of secular songs like Jingle Bells, which created the mix of sacred and popular music we have today. So when you put it all together, Christmas isn't just one single thing, is it? It's this rich, dynamic, and complex tapestry. It's woven together from threads of faith and deep history and scientific mystery and folklore, and of course, centuries of changing cultural traditions. It's a holiday that's always been evolving. And that kind of leaves us with one last question to think about. As this holiday continues to blend ancient faith with modern culture and historical fact with the folklore we cherish, what does it really mean to us right here, right now? Thanks so much for joining me.
Have a Merry Christmas. Have a Merry Christmas.